Hey everyone, how are you today? I hope you have had a great day. It is Friday afternoon, Friday evening now. It's about 6:30, so not quite afternoon, evening. And I am winding down around here after a busy week and very stressful week, which is why I am coming to you about this hot topic of stress eating, because this has been very real in my life this week. And as I've talked about it a little bit or a lot this week, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and ask about how to manage stress eating and how to handle it, because this is a big one. This is a really common issue. If you struggle with stress eating, give me a hashtag stress eater or former stress eater. We don't want to call ourselves stress eaters because we're going to battle through that. We're going to give some hot tips on how to get through it. So if you have struggled with stress eating in the past, even if the past meant 5 minutes ago, that is the past, and that doesn't have to define what our future is. So give me a hashtag former stress eater if you are a stress eater or were a stress eater even, in the past, right? But we don't have to go that way anymore. And if you're not a stress eater, if you haven't been a stress eater in the past, you can also put that in the comments. I'd like to know how many people don't struggle with it, or maybe what other things might cause you to eat things that you shouldn't eat. Are you an emotional eater? Are you a boredom eater? Are you or are you pretty good with that, and that is not, food is not how you cope with your emotions? But I know for so many of us it is. I mean, I talk to people on a daily basis about these same issues. So I wanted to talk to you about this tonight because, like I said, it's something that I struggle with, and it's something that in my past, hey Karen, in my past, it's really been a problem. And fortunately, I have learned a lot of tips, a lot of tricks, a lot of strategies, done a lot of mindset work over the last 3.5 years to really help keep that in check. And I am thankful for that every single day because, as you guys know who have followed me for a while, last summer was a terribly stressful summer for us. And if I hadn't had the tools and the support and all of the resources that I had last summer, no way would I've stayed at my healthy weight. And these last couple of weeks for me, trying to get ready for my daughter's bat mitzvah, same thing. Stress is through the roof, right? And I would be up and in my weight, and I would not be happy, and I would actually be miserable, and then I would feel worse, and it would add to that stress, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So I want to share with you some of these hot tips, some of these things that we can do, because first of all, as I started this by saying, we don't have to stay, even if we were a stress eater 5 minutes ago, that's already in the past. That is already behind us, already done, so we're moving forward. So whatever we were even 5 minutes ago, that was our former self. If we don't like how that was, if we don't like how we felt when that happened, then that was our former, whether it's stress eating, whether it is a yeller, right? Whether it is spends too much money, whatever it is. If we've done it in the past, but we're looking to change it, first thing you do is you change your verbiage on it. You don't say that you are currently that thing, because then that means you still are there, right? And then that's not looking forward for change. So that's the number one thing. If you are my number one hot tip is that was what you were in the past, right? We're not worried about where you are in the future. It's what you are doing right now. Okay. So first, let me give you a little bit of science behind stress eating, because stress eating is actually really real. It's not just a myth. Okay. So it's a really real thing. And I have personally found, when I've learned the science behind some of these things, when I've learned the science behind, why when we don't get enough sleep, we're hungry, all those things, when I've understood it, it has really helped me to be able to control it, because then I don't feel like I'm crazy, and I don't feel like, I'm making this up in my head, or it's just an excuse. It's a real thing, okay? So why is it a real thing? So stress eating, it's been shown in science that our bodies respond to stress by thinking that it needs more energy. Well, what is energy? Energy is calories. Energy is food, right? And it feels like it needs a whole lot of energy to fight whatever's causing that anxious or stress feeling, right? And because foods high in sugar provide plenty of that quick energy, that's what we crave. So it's a real physiological thing that when we are stressed out, we crave those things. We crave sweets, we crave carbohydrates, we crave all kinds of things that give us that quick, fast burst of energy, right? It's not protein. Protein is a good, solid energy that lasts us longer, right? But that's not what we crave when we're stressed, because that's not going to give us that big, fat burst of energy, right? If you're stressed out, if you're anything like me, and when I'm stressed out, I head to the pantry and I go for the quickest, something sweet, something carby, right? Whatever those things are, that's what I crave. And that is very, very, very real, because that's what our body physiologically believes, is that we need that energy fast to get through whatever that stress is, right? So that's the first thing. So understanding that when you're feeling stressed and you're standing at at the pantry or at the refrigerator or whatever it is and looking at that stuff that is not so healthy for you and that are those carby things, stop and say to yourself, is this really what I want? Do I really need more energy to get through this stressful thing, right? Probably not, right? That's a physiological response, right? So recognizing that is really important. But one of the things that we also want to recognize is that when we stress eat, it makes us feel better in the very short term, right? Literally the short term while we're putting it on our lips. So when you go and pull up, I'm going to give the example of a pint of ice cream, right? You take a pint of ice cream and you take a bite, and those 10 seconds, 30 seconds, however long it is that yummy, cold, delicious, creamy ice cream sits on your lips, you're feeling pleasure and you're feeling relaxed. But as soon as you've swallowed that and that goes away, the stress goes back up, right? Whatever you're trying to combat goes right back up. So you then eat another bite, because your body, that same physiological thing goes on with, you want that pleasure receptor. So you take another bite and another bite and another bite. And that's why so many of us cannot stop with 1 to 2 to 3 bites, right? If you can stop at 2 or 3 bites, you're good, you're golden. But most of us, if you're anything like me, I can't. When I am eating because I'm anxious or stressed or sad or whatever the emotion is, and I need that pleasure receptor, it's not out of hunger, right? I can't stop. I can't just have a couple of bites. And that's real. That's a very real thing, right? So understanding that, it's not just ice cream. It could be chocolate chip cookies. It could be just a bag of chocolate chips. It could be marshmallows. It could be peanut butter. It could be. The truth is, for me, it could be anything. It can be vegetables. I can make a big bag of green beans, right? And when I'm stress eating, because I'm getting pleasure out of eating them, it doesn't matter what it is. And green beans are healthy. There's no question that my green beans are healthy. But too many of them aren't. Too many of them is still more energy, more calories, more nutrition than my body needs at the time, which means I'm going to put on the weight, right? So it's really important to recognize that and to recognize why you're eating. And that's where stop, challenge, and choose comes in. Stop when you find yourself. Think about it. Do I really want this? Am I really doing this because I'm nourishing my body? Or am I doing this because I'm stressed, or I'm angry, or I'm sad, or I'm mad, or I'm whatever that feeling is? Really stop and ask yourself that and give yourself that honest answer, and then make your choice. Do I really want this? Right? And if you choose to have it, that's okay. But just recognize the consequences of it, right? So there are certain things that can improve the mental health, right? Because mental health is a big piece of our stress eating. So first of all, we want to keep our bodies in check throughout the day. So you want to start your day off with a healthy breakfast, a protein-filled breakfast, right? Usually within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking up is what I advise my clients, right? Eating something, giving your body that energy that it needs first thing in the morning. What this also does is it stabilizes out your blood sugars, because breakfast literally means break fast. You've been fasting all night. Your body needs energy to operate, right? So you're giving it that burst of energy. Protein is great or if you're going to have if you're going to have some carbs with your breakfast, I always encourage having a protein with the carbs if you're going to have them, but you want good complex carbs, not sugar, not cereal, and even quote unquote healthy cereals are full of sugars. Go take a look at the nutrition labels. You will see cereal is really one of the worst things that you can possibly have. But a good oatmeal, not sometimes the quick oats, but like the good rolled oats, if you make overnight oats, that's a great option. If you're going to have some carbs, a good whole grain toast is a great option with some protein on it, right? With some protein mixed in. Those kinds of things, that'll give you a good balance and give your body some of that energy. So that's the first thing. Protein has to be, as I was just talking about protein has to be a key part to your diet. Protein should be eaten throughout the day, right? I teach my clients to eat 6 small meals a day. Each one of those should have a dose of protein in them, right? Because what protein does is it gives you longer lasting energy, right? The carbs give you that quick fix, boom, right? That quick fix shot of energy and down, right? And we get those spikes, right? We don't want that. The protein balances that out. So even when you're having the carbs, again, you want to have the carbs balanced with those proteins so that energy carries you through, and your body uses that in a slower place, right? And like I said, eating 6 small meals a day, throughout the day, periodically throughout the day, you want to be eating, because that, again, keeps that blood sugar stable, keeps that energy going throughout the day. It's giving your body that constant burst of energy. Next one, big one, is water, right? You guys know I'm huge on drinking water. Staying hydrated is super, super important, right? Dehydration causes headaches. It causes fatigue. You can feel like you're hungry, right? A lot of times we think we're hungry when we're actually thirsty. So making sure that you're sipping on water throughout the day. You should be drinking, an adult should be drinking a minimum of 64 ounces of water, preferably half your body weight in ounces of water. That is really, if you speak to a urologist, that's usually the ideal number, unless you have a medical issue. Sometimes people that have a medical issue should not be drinking that much, so you need to ask your doctor if that is not the right amount. But that's generally across the board the recommendation. Half your body weight in ounces of water. If you're drinking a lot of other fluids, if you're eating a lot of high water vegetables, or you're drinking tea or some other things, then you might not drink as much water. But it's that getting those fluids in and making sure you're staying hydrated. That's super, super important. Some other things that help reduce stress or have calming effects are chamomile tea or green tea, right? Which that helps with your fluids. So, sitting down and sipping on a cup of tea, right? That'll help you relax, and that has a calming effect, and it doesn't have the sugary ick from all the stuff or the high caffeine from some of the high caffeine drinks. So those are some important things that you can be doing nutrition-wise to help your body physiologically deal with stress. Now, what do we do when we're in the moment of feeling totally stressed, right? Okay, so that's the world that I've been living in this week. Right? Trying to get ready for this bat mitzvah, trying to get the kids ready for school, there is no such thing as try, getting ready for this bat mitzvah and getting the kids ready for school and getting everything done. It's got to get done just to run a normal household and support my clients and do all those things, right? A lot is on my plate right now. So I've been feeling super, super stressed. And stressed in actually sort of a good way, because it's all exciting things. It's all things that I'm happy about, but it's still a lot on my plate and overwhelming. So I have found myself many, many times this week standing in the kitchen, staring at the pantry and knowing these physiological things, right? It's real. But I've had to use some support, some of my tactics so that I don't fall back into old bad habits, so that I don't end up, eating myself out of this house, because I can tell you I would totally eat myself out of this house. And I would have been, if this week had been like previous times in my life, I would have been up 5 pounds this week. No question would I have gained 5 pounds this week. And the truth is, I haven't gained any weight. I actually lost a pound this week, which is awesome, right? And because I've been very focused. So what have I done? First of all, number one thing is I tapped into my support system, right? Just like I tell you guys, tap into your support system, utilize me. I have my support system that I use. And truthfully, coming live here and talking about this throughout the week and talking about writing my story every day, right in the morning, that's been super helpful for me. Right? I have been doing that. I've been in the morning writing my story. Hey, Gail, I've been writing my story in the morning so that at the end of the day, I can say, yep, I planned my story and it went exactly how I planned it, right? So that has been super helpful. But I don't just write it in the morning. I write it and I look at it throughout the day, because it's super important that I'm remembering it, because otherwise we can forget our story or we can try to change our story. But it's written, so I've got it. So that's been one of the things. But that's great. That's a great preemptive thing, right? Using my support system when I'm struggling, when I'm finding myself in the kitchen. What am I doing? Well, first of all, I'm opening up my awesome app that I can't show you because I'm on my phone, but my awesome app from our program, and it is free to everyone. So even if you're not on program, you can utilize this awesome app. What it does, it will give you several things that you can do. First of all, it will let you clock your eating your 6 small meals a day, right? Because that's what we should all be doing. Whether you're on my program or not on my program, you should be eating 6 small meals throughout the day, right? The first one within the first 30 to 60 minutes of waking up, and every 2 to 3 hours. So you can clock those meals. You can clock your hydration, right? But the other thing that you can clock that I love is stop, challenge, choose, right? And I talk about this a lot. Stop, think about it. Do I really, really want that? And make a choice, right? And so the first time you click the stop, challenge, choose button, you're going to get an awesome video from Dr. Anderson. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about Stop Challenge Choose. And then after that, you clock in every time you were successful with Stop Challenge Choose, and it keeps a log of it. So it's super cool because I can go back through the week and scroll through and see my logs of when I was successful with Stop Challenge Choose all week. So that's really important. So if you would like to download this app, it is in, if you're on Android, the Google Play Store, or if you are on iPhone in the App Store, it is called Dr. A's Habits of Health. Free to anybody. Go ahead, download it. You put in some information, you set up an account, you put in some information, it's free to do. And then the one thing I will tell you, because one of the healthy habits that we teach is that once you set you should really be going to bed at the same time and waking up at the same time and eating the same time throughout the day. So when you are doing that, you want to set if you are up late one morning, the morning you're going to start it later than normal, you don't want to put that as your first eating time. Or if you're up earlier, you want to do it when you're going to be consistent with your times. That is my hot tip for that. Eventually they are going to be updating it so you can shift those times during the day, but it locks in and it keeps that same schedule for you. And it has you eating every 3 hours, which is awesome, right? So that's the first hot tip. Make sure that you're doing that. But I've been logging my Stop Challenge Choose throughout the day. But what else have I been doing? So when I find myself in the kitchen staring at things, and I stop myself and I recognize and say, nope, I'm not really hungry. This isn't what I want. What do? Well, I have a list of things that give me pleasure that I can go do quickly, right? Might be take a walk around the block. It might be work on my jigsaw puzzle. It might be call a friend. It might be play a game, of Rummy Cube on my phone, which I love to do, right? I have a whole long list of things that give me pleasure, but they also separate time from me eating. And I choose one of those things off my list, and I walk away from the kitchen and I say, I'm going to go do this thing, right? Whatever it is, whichever those thing is. And when I'm done, if I am actually physically hungry and I still want it, then I'm going to reevaluate, right? So usually giving that separation of time between eating and stopping and thinking about it, it usually goes away. And while I'm doing that, I drink some water, right? I'll drink a whole bunch of water in between there. That usually helps. Sometimes I might add some of our purposeful hydration to the water, which, is a healthy option to flavor my water. I don't do that so often because I actually prefer plain water over flavored water. But that is a great tip, right? Distracting yourself and pulling yourself away from the situation so that you are replacing that pleasure, right? Because what are we doing when we're stress eating? We're looking for pleasure, right? So that's the first thing. If it's a boredom, fight that boredom, right? We're only bored in our heads, right? If we look around, if I say I'm bored, I can look around my house, and there are so many things that I can get done. Hey, Michael. Hey, Shira, right? There are so many other things that I can do to replace that boredom, right? Next thing, or this should be top of your tip, take away the temptation. Right? I've talked about this a whole lot. Get that temptation out of your house. Ask for support around you, right? So there are certain things in my house that I know are my kryptonite. So I'm not going to take them away from my kids, but they're hidden. I don't know where they are, right? My husband knows where they are, so that he has to get them for the kids. But I know if it's here, it's dangerous to me. If I can't control it, it needs to be put away. It needs to be out of where I can go. So remove the temptation from yourself. But the other thing is, don't deprive yourself, right? If you feel like you're in a place of deprivation, then you're going to go hog wild and go, right? And when you're losing control because you're stressed or you're anxious or you're whatever the emotion is, then you're going to go crazy and you're not going to be able to do it, right? So what do I mean by don't deprive yourself? Right? So if you're on my plan and you're on a pretty strict plan, well, first of all, a lot of our stuff, you don't feel deprived on it, but it's a mindset. Being deprived is completely a mindset, right? When I was losing 75 pounds and I was not eating, a lot of the things that I liked, I didn't feel deprived. And here's why. I knew that nothing was totally off limits. Every time I looked at something that I might have wanted, the thought went through my head, do I really want that? And the answer to myself was always, I don't want that right now. I'm not having that right now. Not that I can't have it. Not that I can't have it in an hour, not that I can't have it tomorrow, not that I can't, right? I'm choosing to not have it right now. So when you have that thought process, you're not feeling deprived, right? You're just choosing not to have it right now. And when we shift that, again, it goes back to the things that we tell ourselves. When you shift that thought process, you feel so much better. And it helps, again, relieve that stress and relieve that emotion on it, right? The other thing, when you are having a snack, make sure it's a healthy snack, right? Don't go towards those icky things, because the more we eat the things that aren't healthy, the more our bodies crave it. The more our body goes for it, right? We start having sugar, we keep having sugar. We crave that. But when we pull that away, it makes it a lot easier. So here's some other things that I suggest. First, keep a food diary, right? Keep a log of what you're having somewhere, whether it's in the app, whether it's physically in a notebook, whether it's in MyFitnessPal, whatever it is. Keep a food diary. I also recommend keep a stress diary, right? Write it down. What are the things that are stressing you out? Keep a log of that and recognize it, right? And so that you can know and follow patterns, right? And write down when you're craving certain things, how you're feeling, because a lot of times we can tie an emotion to a certain craving, right? So that's really important. Have a hunger reality check. When you feel hungry, ask yourself, am I really hungry? Could I actually be thirsty? Is this real physical hunger? Is this emotional hunger, right? That's really important to recognize. But also, a lot of times if I feel hungry and I look at my watch and I say, oh yeah, it's actually been 2 hours or 2.5 hours. It's actually time for me to eat, right? So then I go and eat the right thing. Next thing, find support. Whether it's me, whether it's a friend, whether it's a spouse, whoever it is, get yourself some support. Get somebody that you can reach to, or a group of somebodies. That's one of my favorite things is our community, right? A group of somebodies that you can reach to when you need support, when you're struggling, because you're not alone in this, right? As you know, I struggle with this too. So you're definitely not alone with this, right? And the last thing that I want to say is don't beat yourself up over any of this, right? If you have a setback, if you slip up, it's okay. Right? It's okay. When you're eating every 2 to 3 hours throughout the day, the next time you eat, you're right back on track, right? But you learn from your setbacks. You ask yourself, stop and really think about it. How did I feel from that? What could I have done differently, right? And really let yourself learn from it. And if you can do those things, it's not going to go away overnight, right? I'm 3.5 years into this portion of my journey, and it for sure hasn't gone away. I still struggle with it, but I don't lose to it. And that's the key. Right? Like I said, I didn't end up a bazillion pounds last summer because I used these tips. I haven't ended up a bazillion pounds the last couple of weeks because I used these tips, right? And I know that I'm in a stressful situation right now. When you know that you've got a stressful something going on, set yourself up for success, right? I told you I lost a pound this week because I put myself back into fat burn. I needed that structure. I needed that plan to help keep me on track, because if I didn't have that plan and I was like, oh yeah, I can have what I normally have in my optimization, which is normally fine, but I know what that would do to me. I know it would mess me up. I know I would fall off track, right? So I personally know myself well enough that I knew that I needed the structure of the 5-in-1 right now. So that's where I'm at, right? And I feel good. It puts me into fat burn. It gives me the energy and it keeps me feeling good, right? So those are my hot tips for stress eating. I would love to continue this conversation and go forward. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I have to go get ready for Shabbat because Shabbat starts soon. But I know that this is such a hot topic. And I know it's something that so many of us struggle with, which is why I wanted to pop on here and talk about it a little bit today. But I hope you have a wonderful, relaxing weekend. If you are here in Michigan, we are having like some of the best weather, and let's all please put a word to God that we're going to have this Labor Day weekend when I have 150 people that are going to be in my backyard. But enjoy this beautiful weather. Get out, get some healthy motion, right? I have my walking partner for tomorrow afternoon to get that healthy motion. That's a great stress reliever. That's one of my favorites, is to go take a walk, right? And do something relaxing, right? And I will be back tomorrow night to come share with you how my Shabbat went, and whatever else. But if you have something that you want me to talk about specifically, shoot me a message and let me know. Have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.